Inside a suburban basement, investigators discovered a digital file that treated serial murder like a professional construction project. Titled HK 2002-04, the document functioned as a literal spreadsheet for human slaughter. Under Problems, the author identified specific forensic hurdles like DNA, tire marks, and witnesses. The Supplies column outlines logistical requirements to manage those risks, detailing items like surgical booties, heavy-duty rope, saws, and foam drain cleaner. This document reveals a mind applying architectural project management to the mechanics of killing. Every variable was accounted for, reflecting the rigid organization of a professional office environment. In 2010, the brush along New York's Ocean Parkway became the focus of a massive investigation. Along this remote stretch of Gilgo Beach, authorities eventually uncovered the remains of 11 victims. 4 victims, found in close proximity and wrapped in burlap, became known as the Gilgo Four. They were young women working as escorts to support their children, disappearing between 2007 and 2010. The man eventually linked to these crimes was Rex Heuermann. At 62, he was a well-known Manhattan architectural consultant and founder of his own firm. Heuermann lived a quiet, middle-class life in Massapequa Park. He resided in his childhood home with his wife and children, maintaining the image of a mundane suburban professional for over 30 years. This partition between his professional duties in Manhattan and the dumping grounds on the South Shore created a stark duality. He navigated building codes and neighborhood associations, while the reality of the coastal crime scenes remained hidden behind his suburban ranch house. To maintain his anonymity, Heuermann utilized a network of burner phones and fictitious names to solicit sex workers. These untraceable accounts allowed him to arrange encounters without leaving a direct link to his professional identity. He also managed the timing of the attacks with logistical precision. Travel records showed that he systematically scheduled these murders for periods when his wife and children were out of state or traveling. The physical execution followed a specific pattern. Heuermann used heavy burlap to restrain the victims and transport their bodies, choosing the material for its durability and its common use in construction and landscaping. His counter-surveillance tactics extended to the digital world. Investigators found he used specialized software to mask his IP address and data wiping tools to shred the history of his online searches. These actions define the behavior of a highly organized offender. Heuermann was obsessed with compartmentalization, applying a professional level of oversight to ensure he maintained total control over his environment. This pattern of behavior is rooted in his past. Heuermann was raised in the same house where he would eventually raise his own family, and the death of his father when he was 12 is noted by investigators as a critical juncture in his psychological development. Professionally, he was a troubleshooter of complex building codes. He spent decades navigating bureaucratic systems and interpreting arcane regulations, skills he used to manage the logistics of his crimes and evade detection. His motive appears to have been the pursuit of absolute power over his victims. The meticulous nature of the planning document suggests that the gratification came from the total control he exerted through his organized methodology. That control continued long after the murders. Using burner accounts, Heuermann viewed hundreds of images of the victims and their families, while also searching for sadistic pornography and images of sexual violence. Heuermann effectively returned to the scene of his crimes digitally. His architectural mind used these searches to construct a loop of news articles and family social media profiles, allowing him to monitor the investigation's progress from his office in Midtown. The investigation eventually pivoted back to a witness report from 2010. A witness had described seeing a distinctive green Chevrolet Avalanche, a vehicle investigators found was registered directly to Heuermann. Using that lead, authorities began triangulating cell tower data. They were able to link the location of the burner phones used to contact the victims directly to the area surrounding Heuermann's Manhattan office. This was the point where his physical and digital worlds collided. The very technology he used to remain anonymous had now provided a direct map to his place of business. Surveillance teams began tailing Heuermann through Manhattan. They watched as he moved through his daily routine, waiting for a single piece of biological evidence to surface. In January 2023, he discarded a partially eaten pizza crust in a trash can on Fifth Avenue. Investigators quickly recovered the box and sent the remains of his lunch to a forensic laboratory. Advanced DNA sequencing matched the nuclear DNA from that crust, ultimately linked to the scene by a discarded pizza box. He was arrested in July 2023. The case reached a legal conclusion when Heuermann pleaded guilty to the murders of 8 women. He admitted to strangling his victims and dismembering several of them, ending a decade of investigation. Unresolved questions still surround the case. With 11 sets of remains found at Gilgo Beach, authorities are still working to determine if there are more victims and how his family remained unaware of the activity in their basement. Rex Heuermann's case demonstrates how a highly organized offender can apply professional project management to a series of murders. It is a reminder that violent pathology can exist within the most mundane bureaucratic environments, protected by a facade of suburban normalcy.